Could Chevron be at risk of losing its $33 billion bet on Anadarko? The markets may be saying so. Check this out. The arbitrage on the deal, where the deal prices the stocks and where the stocks are trading, has gone negative. The spread last night closing at just under a negative 2%. In plain English, some traders are making real bets that Anadarko could get another higher offer from somebody else. So, if those arbitrageurs are correct and another bid does come in, who might it be from? Well, of course, there is Occidental Petroleum. David Faber has talked about it in his excellent reporting. Occidental made a bid of more than $70 per share for Anadarko. Investors preferred the Chevron offer. But my sources tell me that Occidental executives have been aggressively, their term, calling around to investors, asking about the stock and potential deals. All right, what about Exxonmobil? Traders tell me that it's possible because the hangover from Exxon's $41 billion deal for XTO all the way back in 2009 is finally beginning to wear off. Exxon could also be looking for more prime property in the Permian Basin of Texas. Another name being thrown around by traders I've spoken with, BP. BP's nearly $11 billion deal for BHP Billiton's assets, that closed last year, and the company finally has freed up cash through all those payments related to the 2010 Macondo oil rig disaster. Also, BP's market cap has not risen like the other majors recently, and BP could feel pressure from shareholders to get larger. But the name that seems to be generating much interest on desks, the one that traders are kind of chattering about the most right now, is Royal Dutch Shell. Remember, Shell already has a joint venture with Anadarko in Texas, making a tie-up easier. It is also a customer of Anadarko's LNG assets in Africa, making a 13-year supply deal for LNG earlier this year. Plus, Shell's been selling off non-core assets and raising cash and is a fairly weak player in the Permian Basin, something investors want to see grow. They want more than 230,000 barrels a day. Now, it is important to note here that arbitrage traders get this kind of stuff wrong all the time. This does not mean that there will be another bidder for Anadarko, but any of the above names could also go after a different company or nobody at all. And even if they did go after Anadarko, Chevron, of course, could still pop back in with a higher bid of its own and end up winning that asset. Still, the negative spread, something to watch. The spread of that deal is now more negative than at any time since that deal was announced back on April 12th. All right, for more now on the energy complex and everything that goes into it, joining us now is Thomas McNulty. He is Managing Director of Corporate Advisory and Valuation Services at Great American Group. Now, Tom, I know you're not a single stock analyst, but do you have an opinion on Anadarko based on that arbitrage spread? Do you believe it's possible somebody out there could come in with a higher bid for APC?
I think it is possible, but it probably wouldn't be a great idea. The Chevron Anadarko deal is almost perfect in a lot of ways. The contiguous acreage, the GOM, deep water assets, the LNG assets. It's a very, very, very smart deal. A lot of analytics went into it. You know, it's not just a multiple slapped on a number. There's a lot of heavy simulation modeling. It's a very, very good deal. So I think it's possible, but this is a really good E&P deal.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that just because that arbitrage spread is negative does not mean that somebody else is going to come in. It simply means that if you were long one stock and short the other, that bid has flipped and reversed, which is fairly rare in a deal like this. That's why we're paying attention to it.
That's right.
What makes the Permian so attractive right now?
A lot of the economics have changed. We've seen a lot of hard work on the cost side. You probably saw, I think it was even on this channel, the Exxon CEO said they're going to moving into the Permian, be able to make double-digit returns on $35 oil. And I think that especially when you're in Houston, you see daily hard work on efficiency, cost. Every day, people are trying to find a way to make everything more efficient. So there's going to be ability to make money at lower oil prices.
And we've been to the Permian many times, and I guess the concern, you remember the Cabbage Patch Kids?
Yes.
Remember those dolls?
That's right.
Everybody went, for about 2 years, they were the hottest thing, then they went away. And I do wonder if everybody's streaming into the same place, could valuations get to a point where whatever your cost-cutting ability is, will it make sense?
I think that right now, there's still room for deals. I don't know that we'll see a copycat deal of this size.
It's a big one.
What we're seeing, though, there's the potential for more deals, mid-cap, small-cap, and lower. For example, the names you'll hear about, Chatter in Houston, Diamondback, Concho, Pioneer, always as a target, but what people aren't talking about is why aren't they talking about maybe getting together? That's something that could be happening. It's hard to say, but there's still room for transactions. I don't know if we'll see a mega deal, though.
But I think it's reading between your lines. I mean, I think what you're saying is very true, which is that everything we've talked about for years, you got to be big now because you need those economies of scale. So do you believe that whatever ends up happening with Anadarko, that more deals are certainly on the way?
I think so. I mean, again, back in the Houston market, you hear people talking about there are too many companies. And a lot of it has to do with capital. We have a lot of capital, a lot of management teams, and a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. So throughout the energy complex, especially in oilfield services, upstream and midstream, there are lots of companies, and they're competing every day with each other. If that number declines a bit, then you'll be able to have a little more pricing pressure, a little bit more, economies of scale.
Yeah, because the one thing you do hear in the Permian all the time is that there are too many producers and not enough service companies. They can't get truck drivers, they can't get frac sand, they can't get water. And so you need that scale to be able to efficiently take the assets that you've got from the services that are available. That's the side that it's not sexy, but it's really important.
No, that people talk about that all the time in that market, and that's a very important and common theme.
Are you surprised by oil's 35% rally this year, Tom?
A little bit, but I think that there's a push-pull kind of movement. You've got a lot of the geopolitical news that'll put upward pressure on prices, but people forget about all the drilled uncompleted wells. I think you've mentioned them.
The
before.
ducks, as we call them, yeah.
The ducks, they're over 8,000. The production capacity is there. It's almost like inventory on a shelf. And I think that in this complex, there is an effort to be able to make money at lower prices. So I think over time, there's gravity. And I think that it puts pressure on a lot of the foreign producers, the OPECs and Russia, because our guys can really...
And just quickly, do you believe whatever happens with Anadarko, that deal will be a good thing for investors in the macro? Because they've lost... Investors in energy for 10 years have gone nowhere. Everyone's been waiting for that deal door to open up. It's open now. Is that a good thing for investors on a macro sense?
I think it is, and you see bankers all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of pitching going on, a lot of pitch books floating around, and I think the door will open. It just may not be a lot of big mega deals, but a lot in the mid cap and below.
I actually recognized a couple of investment bankers on my flights to and from. We all kind of looked at each other. They looked at me. I looked at them. We kind of nodded and went back to our books.
That's right.
Tom,
That's
thank
right.
you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.